Hello everyone, and welcome to today's video where we are going to be setting up my bullet journal for the rest of 2023. If you're new, hi, hello, welcome. And also I feel like I should explain some things. If you've been here for a while, you will know that I set up my bullet journal initially for 3 months for 2023. So basically what happened, if you're new, here's what was going on. When I was finishing the notebook that I had for 2022, well, when I set up for December of 2022, I counted the pages that I still had left on that notebook because it was still a good chunk of notebook left unused. And I did some math and I realized that I still had enough unused pages on there to last me for a good additional 3 months. And that was a lot of paper that would go unused, and that felt extremely wasteful. Like it was a good third of that notebook that wasn't used. And I decided, you know what? It feels wrong to just move into a new notebook right now. So I set up my first part of 2023 in that notebook still. I decided, let's separate this by quarters instead of semesters. So I did the first quarter of the year in that notebook, and I'm transitioning to this one now. So this one, by my counts, should comfortably last me for the last 3 quarters of the year. So this notebook will be used for 9 months of 2023. If you're wondering, I use a B5 notebook. I've been using this system from 2022 onwards. So yeah, the last notebook that I had, not before this one, sorry, the notebook that I had when I was finishing 2022, that was the first B5 journal that I used. I decided to try it kind of randomly. I just saw someone using it, I don't remember who, and I was intrigued because I didn't even realize that such a thing as a B5 notebook existed. I thought it was just B5 notebooks. And I decided to try one. I was intrigued, became obsessed. I highly recommend the B5 notebook. It's just bigger, so it kind of feels more comfortable, honestly, when I'm drawing, and it's very practical. I have a lot of space to do bigger spreads. I don't have to scrunch anything together. I have plenty of space to do my spreads, trackers, anything that I might need, and still have some space to draw if the spread isn't massive. So definitely recommend trying the B5 notebook. I do use A5 notebooks, but for other things like a daily spread, which is something that doesn't require huge spreads. So I have an A5 notebook that I use for dailies, or if I want to journal a little bit, I will use A5s. But for bullet journaling, the B5 is definitely my favorite, and I highly recommend. This notebook is from Notebook Therapy. This is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. I buy their notebooks with my own money because they're really enjoyable for me. I think they're really cute. I like the quality of the paper, and honestly, they're stunning. They're really, really pretty. If you have been here for a while and you've noticed that this notebook isn't new, yeah, like I was saying, first notebook for 2023 was for the first 3 months, and so I've been using this notebook since April. When I finish the setup, you will see that the pages next to it are the April ones. I have this setup already done for quite a while. I started working on this one, at least on the sketches, from before I started on the April setup, but I've kind of put off finishing it for the sake of filming the April one, getting it up on a more decent schedule. And I've had this set up for a while, and I was just letting the footage kind of cook there for a little bit while I worked on the May footage. So I've kind of had it in the back burner, and whenever I went to edit it and post it, I decided no, still not the time. So I just decided, you know what, whenever I feel like the time is right, I'll post it. Here we are. You're watching now. The time is right now. yeah, the spread that I'm working on is my future log. I did mention that this notebook is for 9 months, but whenever there's a spread for a year at a glance, I feel like it's very useful to see the entire year. So I felt like it was silly to omit those first 3 months. I could still probably have some use for seeing those first 3 months, whether to be able to understand what I was doing for those months, or for whatever reason, I decided that also, aesthetically speaking, it's more symmetrical if all 12 months are here. So that's what's going on. And yeah, on the right there, we have the Lily of the Valley drawings. If you watch the first setup for 2023, I'll link it somewhere in the video for you guys if you want to watch that one. I did this cute panda and bamboo shoots theme, which the vibe behind that was calmness for the year. I wanted to bring in more calm and tranquility from a year. And the same vibe goes for this for this theme. But if you will notice, like the first theme with the pandas is very like daytime. It feels like early in the morning, whilst this one kind of feels like a bedtime story. And I didn't realize that I had done that until after the whole thing was done. But I thought it was kind of cute and kind of fitting, you know, the the theme that starts off the year is very daytime and early in the morning, and the one that kind of closes the yearly spreads for the year feels like a bedtime story. I thought that was really cute. But yeah, why Lily of the Valley? I don't know. I didn't plan on it, but I was looking through Pinterest for inspiration for some drawings, as one does. Not even necessarily for my bullet journal. I've been sketching a lot more, trying to work on my skills, and I just kept on seeing drawings of Lily of the Valley everywhere. And you know what, I love this plant. I love these flowers. They're so cute. They look like tiny little fairy bells, and I don't know, looking at them, it's just kind of a mesmerizing feeling. I don't know if you've ever seen photos of actual Lily of the Valley. I've never seen them in real life because I've never found them here. I live in Portugal, if you're wondering. I've never seen them in real life, but I've seen pictures. And oh my god. I low-key want to buy seeds and plant them. But yeah, they're really cute. And they make me feel really calm and peaceful. So yeah, plus with the little clouds and the stars, it really feels like a kind of fairy tale bedtime story. So that's the vibe that I'm going with here. And yeah, I have two kind of week, year at a glance, spreads. First one was a future log. This one, you're wondering, why does it say astrological events? I'm into astrology, and I like to keep track of big astrological events that will be going on throughout the year, just so I can kind of not necessarily organize myself, because if I have to do something, I'll do something. Astrology is not going to stop me, but it's sometimes really useful to understand the phase of the moon, if there's an eclipse going on, if there's a Mercury retrograde. Sometimes it's just useful, especially as a woman. Sometimes the moon will really affect my cycle, and so it's good to track that. Also, sometimes it helps me understand what is going on with some people. Sometimes people will be acting crazy in the world, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I refer back to my astrological event spread. I'm like, oh, so that helps, explains it. So yeah, so I do that. If you're not into astrology, I can imagine that you will not do a spread like this, but maybe another spread like a future log will be useful for you to track something down. Maybe you could want a future log, a normal one, and then another one where you know you're gonna have to write some things down. I don't know, maybe if you have kids and you have like soccer practices or meets for some kind of gymnastics thing, I don't know. The kind of thing where, you know, you're gonna have a lot of them to mark down, and they're going to be pretty frequent, pretty regular, at least like once or twice a month. I don't know. Whatever event you might have once or twice a month, and you want to write the specific dates down for the whole year or something like that, maybe a second future log sort of situation will be useful for you. So, keep it in mind if you're not into astrology. It doesn't have to be an astrological one, but it could be like a second sort of year at a glance with a specific purpose or a specific theme. Maybe that'll be useful for you. This one is again related to astrology. This one is kind of to write down any information that I might need on a specific astrological transit. Sometimes it's useful. If, again, you're not into astrology, one thing that I would recommend for this spread is to just write random things throughout the year. I have had that idea, like a major brain dump for the whole year, where you randomly write things, kind of like a time capsule. You can go ahead and write lyrics for a song that's stuck in your head, doodle something, maybe glue a photo, picture. That could be a good use for that kind of a layout if you're thinking how you could apply that for yourself. And for this spread, which I'm really happy with, it's really cute. Basically, I have decided at the beginning of this year that I was going to organize my life, not just in semesters, but in quarters. So you will see that I am basically organizing things in quarters mostly. This is the important events spread. I realized that, that feeling when you end the year and the whole year feels like a blur, like you have no notion of time and of what happened and when. Like, I'll know what happened throughout the year, but placing it in the correct month will be a hassle. I will have no idea of what happened and when. So basically I have the 4 quarters of the year, and I have boxes to write down important events that have happened, both on a personal level and on a world level or national. So if something big happened in the world, for example, something that I wrote down recently was the coronation of King Charles III. I felt like that was pretty big on a world level, so I wrote that down just to give you an example. I'll also write down, like, if there's a big disaster, if there is a big championship or something, if it's something that I feel like is memorable for some reason, be it good or bad, and I just want to keep track of when it happened, I will write it down here. Again, both personal and global / national / large scale. I'll do that. I love this spread. Again, there was a lot of stuff that was tedious to write, so I wrote it down before I filmed. You can pause the video if you want to get a better look at what I wrote down. Basically, this is a menstrual cycle master tracker. What we have here is we have a calendar for the whole year, which is what I'm outlining right now. And basically, what I'm going to be doing is the bigger part for me is tracking my menstrual phase, because that's the most useful to keep in mind whenever you're planning things for the year. The idea is basically we have 4 phases in a menstrual cycle. You have the actual menstrual phase, luteal phase, ovulatory, and I'm missing one, follicular. Basically, you'll see there are some areas that are already shaded. I basically grabbed my birth control and I did the math for when I'm on it at the time that I was making this, and basically I timed throughout the entire year. I went on a 28-day cycle, so I was counting the days when I'm going to be on the break for my pill, so basically when I'm going to be on my menstrual phase. This way, if I want to plan any vacation that involves like going to the beach or anywhere, basically any kind of vacation, going anywhere new when you're on your period, at least for me, it's kind of stressful and annoying. And so that way I have an idea of what part of the phase of my cycle I am on to avoid any issues. I really don't want to book a vacation for the beach and be on a menstrual phase at the moment. Also, there is a purpose that this also serves. There are different type of activities, foods, whatever is going on. That is, I feel like I'm struggling explaining this. Basically, we have 4 phases in our cycle, and according to that phase that you could be on, your levels of energy will change because your hormones are changing. So there are different foods that are better to eat during that phase. There are certain types of working out that are better for that phase, so on, so forth. So basically, what you have on the left page is the calendar. There's the little key there, and then on the right you have the legend for type of food, activities, and everything that is recommended for that phase. This is a long explanation for something that is kind of easy, but I don't know. My brain stops working sometimes. I'm sorry, English isn't my first language, and sometimes the English app in my brain shuts down and I struggle with explaining normal things. Sorry, but I hope that makes sense for you. That's the spread that I'm really happy with, and I've been doing things like that on and off every now and then, and they're actually really useful. So if you want to get a better look at that, either wait for the final flip through at the end, or just go back a little bit and pause the screen, and I hope that you guys will be able to read what I wrote. But if you can't, or if you want more information, there are a lot of posts on Pinterest and online about the different phases of the menstrual cycle. And so yeah, this spread is about productivity and my path for success. At least is what I call this spread, and I really like it. Basically, I like to, like I said, split things down into quarters. I feel like splitting the year in 4 parts is way more useful than splitting it into 2. I feel like splitting the year in semesters is, first of all, there are less so opportunities to review, reassess, and plan ahead. And also, 6 months is a long time for just one plan to be in action. I feel like whenever I try to plan things on a 6-month basis, that doesn't work for me, because halfway there, things have changed a lot. There are things that I didn't account for, things that I couldn't predict when I first made those plans or set those goals. And the whole revision is required. And so a lot of times I end up not going through with things that I set up for myself because it was just not a reasonable plan to have for 6 months. There are a lot of things that you don't know when you're starting. Life is kind of funny and life happens sometimes. You could be planning at the beginning of the year for, I don't know, let's say that you're working through, you're planning on getting a promotion at work, so you're setting up for yourself the things that you believe that you should do in order to get the promotion, and 2 months in, you get fired, or something horrible changes and that whole plan falls through. So yeah, I'd like to set smaller time frames for me to plan my life and make goals. I feel like that's a lot more figure outable and approachable, if that makes sense. And this is my reading log. I want to be better at reading this year. I've been on like a streak of 3 years where I say that I want to read more, and then I hardly read. I used to be a big reader. For me, reading just 1 book a month or 1 book every other month is very low. I realize that for some people that is actually good progress, but it's not for me. As you can see, when I was making this, some time had already passed, and so I had some data already to introduce there. But yeah, I want to be better at reading, so I want to track somewhat the amount of pages that I'm reading. I want to make reading goals for myself. I want to make to-be read lists, and so yeah, this is kind of just to help me reach that, because this is a goal that I have for myself. It's not a super strict goal. I won't die, or I won't go out of a job if I don't read, but it is something that I consider very important for personal development. I feel like reading really helps your brain and your mind. Reading fantasy is a great way of escaping reality and finding some calmness, And reading nonfiction is also really good. Just it's brain food. Reading is overall brain food, and so I want to be better at this. I feel like it makes a big impact on my health and mental health. So hence the importance, and that is why it gains a full spread in my yearly setup for this year. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. It looks pretty cute. And now for the final flip through for the second half, or part, sorry, of 2023. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and like I said, I will be linking the video for the first part of 2023 in case you guys want to see that first setup and how it differs from this one. Don't want to pick favorites because they're very different, but I really love how peaceful this one is and how like that whimsical look is here. It feels like a bedtime story, and something about that really tickles my pickle. I don't know, it just feels very cute. Yeah guys, I hope that this was helpful to you in some way. I hope that maybe this gave you some ideas from some spreads to try out, or maybe it just gave you some time to be peaceful. And there's my April theme. And yeah guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.